Jamahal Hill is facing a rough patch in his MMA career. He was once the champion of the light heavyweight division, and now he finds himself on a 2-fight losing streak with both losses coming by knockout. And now he will be headlining a fight night in Azerbaijan, with his next opponent being Khalil Rountree, a Muay Thai powerhouse. I think that Khalil Rountree is a very difficult matchup for Jamahal Hill, and if Jamahal Hill suffers another loss, he could fade away from the title picture entirely, perhaps for a very long time, if not for good. So I will be explaining why I think Khalil Rountree is a very difficult opponent for Jamahal Hill, and why I think he loses this matchup. So when you're analyzing both of these fighters, you have to understand the two styles that will be clashing in this matchup. You have Jamahal Hill. He is a very good striker, but he doesn't really specialize in any specific style. He has good kickboxing. He has decent grappling, but he doesn't specialize in any specific martial art that really stands out in his MMA style. On the other hand, you have Khalil Rountree, which you can tell is heavily influenced by Muay Thai. And in some matchups, this is a very bad thing for Khalil Rountree. But in this matchup in particular, I think it's going to be an advantage when he fights Jamahal Hill over the summer. One thing about Jamahal Hill is that Yuri Prochazka exposed a lot of flaws in his style. When he fought Yuri Prochazka at UFC 311, Jamahal Hill, he got countered by a huge 1-2 by Yuri, and it exposed that Jamahal Hill, he's not defensively sound enough to compete in the upper echelon of the light heavyweight division. Jamahal Hill, he is an aggressive striker who relies heavily on his boxing. He often overextends on his punches, especially when he presses forward looking for a finish. And during these moments, he creates a lot of defensive vulnerabilities for himself. For example, when he fought Yuri Prochazka at UFC 311, he lunges forward without even resetting his base. And Yuri Prochazka, he picked up on that, and that led to that TKO in the third round. And compared to Khalil Rountree has a very patient Muay Thai style, and he's a good counter striker as well. With those sharp fundamentals in the Muay Thai, he can capitalize on Jamahal Hill's mistakes. If Jamahal Hill overreaches with his straight left, Rountree can counter with tight, compact hooks, and he can deliver devastating knees or elbows if Jamahal Hill stumbles into clinch range. Jamahal Hill's habit of dropping his hands while exiting combat can also invite counters from a fast and very explosive striker like Khalil Rountree. Another thing that we need to talk about in this matchup is that both of these fighters are going to be southpaws. And when considering that, you have to consider the low kicks. The inside low kick is going to be open for Khalil Rountree to constantly go to. And we all know that Khalil Rountree, he has devastating low kicks. That Muay Thai stance, that's built for delivering those low kicks with a lot of force and a lot of power. And if Khalil Rountree uses that inside low kick properly in this matchup, he could easily compromise the movement of Jamahal Hill, and that can lead to Jamahal Hill getting countered even more because his footwork won't work effectively since his legs will be compromised by the low kicks. And like I said, those low kicks from Khalil Rountree will be targeting Jamahal Hill's lead leg, which will be critical for Jamahal Hill's movement and power. If Khalil Rountree just invests in those low kicks, that could easily compromise Jamahal Hill for the rest of the fight. And you have to consider how dangerous Khalil Rountree is from the clinch. He throws great knees and elbows in the clinch. We saw Khalil Rountree absolutely brutalize Carl Robertson in the clinch with a mix of knees and short punches. Jamahal Hill, on the other hand, he hasn't really shown that much clinch offense or defense. If the fight gets into these close quarters, Khalil Rountree's physicality and Muay Thai background could overwhelm Jamahal Hill both technically and physically. And it's not about just the strength in this matchup. Khalil Rountree, he knows how to frame, how to break the posture, and strike explosively in the short spaces provided in the clinch. And that leads into another point about this matchup, which is Khalil Rountree's explosive power and speed. Khalil Rountree is one of the most explosive fighters in the light heavyweight division. He doesn't really throw that much volume, but every single strike that he throws is launched with bad intentions. His hand speed, his kicking speed, and twitchy movement make him extremely dangerous, especially in the early rounds. Against someone like Jamahal Hill, who is more methodical and relies on range and builds momentum over time, Khalil Rountree's ability to close the distance with explosive bursts could catch him off guard. Jamahal Hill has power, but Rountree's strikes are often more violent and fight-ending when they land cleanly. And the last thing that we need to talk about when we're analyzing the matchup between Jamahal Hill and Khalil Rountree is just their mentality and the state in their careers that they're at. Jamahal Hill, he already became a champion. He's already reached the summit of the mountain. While on the other hand, Khalil Rountree, he's coming from a title shot that many people counted him out on, and he put on a great performance. That performance against Alex Pereira improved his confidence, and I think that in this matchup, he's going to be going out there and trying to send a message. Jamahal Hill, on the other hand, he lost to Alex Pereira bad, and he was still coping about that loss going into the Yuri Prochazka fight. And I believe that loss from Alex Pereira, it really shook his mentality to the point where he couldn't really focus on the threat of Yuri Prochazka when they fought. And that's really why I think that Jamahal Hill really underestimated Yuri Prochazka, and that led to his downfall. Of course, Jamahal Hill will be looking to bounce back against a fighter like Khalil Rountree, but I believe that his confidence has been shaken to the point where he's not going to be as aggressive. He's not going to be as feisty in this matchup. And I think that Khalil Rountree, when he's going out there with bad intentions already, that's going to be a recipe for Jamahal Hill to get finished in his third fight in a row.